Sorry, everyone, I forgot to put my mic on. My bad. I was just there randomly chatting away to myself. I've just put us live on the old TikTok as well. How we doing, Manita? Yeah, my bad. Forgot to put me mic live, but we are here. The final World Series event is now upon us. The Australian Darts Masters from Wollongong. The draw has been done, and as if by magic, there it is. What do we think? Are we expecting more? Look, I personally think New Zealand disappointed. Overall, as a standard, I was disappointed. Is Australia going to deliver more? Is the question. But we're live. Why weren't we told, Rob? Why weren't we told? Have I got it here?
We're not live now. Yeah, we're live. Why wasn't I told?
Why wasn't I told?
Should have been told.
How we doing, Nick? Good to join us. So yeah, look, the final World Series event, Wollongong. What are we expecting? The draw has been done. You can see it live on screen now as we speak. On YouTube anyway. Sorry, on TikTok we haven't got it there just yet. Still trying to work out the best way to go live on all platforms. But look, Gerwyn Price takes on Simon Whitlock. Nice little tie for the fans. Look, Simon didn't play particularly well in New Zealand. Average 84, I think it was. That he's better than that. Then Josh Rock against Adam Leake. Look, I've said it before. There is a level in Adam Leake. Will we see it? I don't know. I think Rocky comes through that one. We'll go more in depth in a minute. Stephen Bunting against Mel Cumming, a late replacement for an injured Darren Penhorn. That's disappointment because Darren Penhorn can play. Then we have Gian Van Veen against Raymond Smith. It is Van Veen who has got the bogey tie. No one wants Raymond Smith. That was the one to avoid. Then Ross Smith taking on Brody Clinch. Look, Brody is setting the world alight on the floor in Australia. Needs to translate that to TV form, but there is potential in Brody. And that Ross Smith, for want of a cricket term, he's on a pair. Lost first round in New Zealand. Won't want to be the seed that doesn't win a game. Last week's winner, Johnny Clayton, taking on Ben Robb, Big Rig, the New Zealand qualifier. And then Damon Heta takes on Joe Comito. That was how the draw came out. What do you think getting involved? Let me know. What is the standout tie of round one at the Australian Darts Masters? I I don't want to be presumptuous, but again, how many of the non-seeded players do we see doing some damage? Because look, there's ability there, but we haven't seen it enough. For me, only leak comes through here. Yeah, possibly. But then look, Raymond Smith is capable. Look, he's got a tough tie in Van Veen. There's no doubt. But Raymond Smith is more than capable. I think he's favourite to win the ANZ Premier League this year. I really do. I just think Raymond Smith has all the ability to go and be a top player. I'd love to see him have a go at Q School, potentially get a card and so on, but that's probably another video down the line of how good Raymond Smith can be. But let's dive in. All eyes are on Wollongong, the final leg of the 2026 World Series. Let's go in draw bracket order. So first up, it is the Iceman, Gerwin Price, the number 1 seed for this event. He leapfrogged in Van Veen, taking on, look, Australia's best, Australia's greatest ever export, and that is Simon Whitlock. And look, Father Time may have caught up with Simon. He's not the player he was, but when you speak to him and so on, he's very, very content with that. He knows his place. He knows he's had a great career, and he's passing on all his knowledge to his son Mason, who's trying to get on the tour and so on. So look, he knows that he still has a good game in him, but he can't do it consistently. Father Time has caught up with him. Gerwin Price didn't expect a lot in New Zealand because of the travel chaos and so on, but he played his way into a little bit of form. For me, Gerwin Price will have too much. Look, Simon can make a game of it if it clicks, but that's an if it clicks. So we will see on that. There's an echo on TikTok, Owen. I don't know what's causing that. I'll have a look, see if I can play with some settings. I think it's fine on YouTube and Twitch. So not sure what's causing that. At 10 a.m. in the UK, start tomorrow. So look, for me, Simon Whitlock, Gerwin Price gets rid of Simon Whitlock fairly comfortably. Then we go into Josh Rock against Adam Leake. A real intriguing tie. Can Adam Leake produce under pressure in front of a home audience? That's the question. I think he can if he holds his nerves together. He is very, very nervous. So looking forward to seeing how he reacts. Not sure what's going to happen there, but it'll be interesting to see. Then, Josh Rock. We know he has all the ability in the world. 2 seconds, everyone. I might have to kill the TikTok stream. For some reason, it's not working. 2 seconds, everyone. I don't know. It shouldn't be, Rob. I don't know why it's doing that. I'll just kill it. Just trying to get on all platforms. But the problem is you can't use external streaming software to go to TikTok, which is annoying. You have to use theirs. Let's just kill it. And There's nowhere to. I don't like this TikTok studio at all. Because there's trying to find a way to turn it off and there isn't way. Oh, this is weird. There we go. If anyone's got any ideas on how to go live on TikTok using or knows a better way of going live on TikTok without using a phone, because everything is set up to stream live. But let's go back to this. Look, I think Josh Rock will need to improve. He didn't produce as big a numbers as he'd want, but look, I think he has too much for Adam Leake in this one. Now we have James Wade against Tim Pusey. And look, the former magnet, shall we say. Look, I just think James Wade has too much for him. Too strong. I just think we'll have too much. What do you think? The machine to get the job done? I like what I see. Manita's going for 10. Look, I'd love to see him get the job done. Adam Leake isn't a pushover, I agree, but the issue is for want of a, I'm trying to. Actually, there's no easy way of saying this. At the moment, Adam Leake shits himself. I agree, he has a high level, but where he's not used to playing at this level a lot, he gets to a winning position and overthinks it. He needs to put himself in this position more, and I genuinely believe he will develop into a good player. I just think that, again, James has too much. Then Stephen Bunting taking on Mel Cumming. Remember, Cumming, the late replacement for Darren Penhorn. It's a shame because Penhorn can play, but he's got a shoulder injury, I believe. But again, I think the fact that Cumming didn't qualify for this suggests that, one, he's not in the best of form because he didn't make that bracket, that upper echelon. And I just think Bunting will have too much. Like, even though Bunting lost last week, he still played well against Raymond Smith. But I just think that leg on leg Bunting will have too much. Going into the bottom half of the draw, Gian van Veen taking on Big Rig Ben Robb. Now, Ben played well last week, was 4-1 up, and then Damon Heta hit the turbocharge button. Those last 4 or 5 legs, Damon was averaging about 125. It was something like absolutely mental. Absolutely mental. And look, he's got Johnny Clayton. This is a tougher assignment than Damon was last week. Now, can Ben Robb win? Yes, but Johnny's going to have to be off. And look, I think... I'm sorry, I'm just one of those days. Sorry, let's go back to Van Veen Raymond Smith. It's because I'm looking at 3 different things at once here. My bad, let's shut up. Van Veen takes on Raymond Smith. Look, Raymond Smith is the bogeyman. He is the one that no one wants. he has the ability to be unreal. He showed it last week. Getting to the semi-final. Look, he come up short against Gerwyn Price in the end. But he has the ability to be superb. Now, I'm going for a surprise. I think Raymond Smith does it 2 weeks in a row. Just say it how it is. These players are dog shit compared to the PDC players. One, they're not on tour for a reason. And two, there's this version of the PDC players that are over there are beatable. Are they as good? Obviously not, no. But they're beatable. And I think Raymond Smith causes the upset against Gian Van Veen. I really do. I would love Raymond Smith to come over and give Q School a go and see how he can really, really produce. Then we have Ross Smith against Brody Clinch. Now, Ross is on a pair. He will not want to lose opening round again. Drunk on Lucas said, no, I wish that where the camera's there and you got to keep turning to see the games because there's no room to put something straight in front of me because it'll block the camera. Now, Brody has played well on the floor this year, and when you listen to guys and you speak to people back in Australia, a bit like Adam Leake, they say that Brody has tons and tons of ability. But again, it's controlling those nerves. He doesn't know how to do it yet. And look, and until you put yourself in those situations, you don't know how to do it. So, look, can Brody hold himself together? Possibly. It's going to be tough. But look, Ross Smith there will be nerves within that Ross Smith game. Remember, he was in a great position against Adam Leake. And Leake put the pressure on, and Ross Smith twitched. Now, Brody has to apply pressure, and has to apply pressure early as well. Look, ultimately, I think Ross Smith comes through, but I'm expecting glimpses from Brody in this game. Then we have Johnny Clayton against Ben Robb. Look, big rig. We know he has the ability. Again, a bit like some of the others where we perhaps don't see it on the big stage enough, but running into last week's winner in Johnny Clayton is a tough assignment. The Ferret looked $1 million at times last week, especially in the final against Gerwyn Price, throwing a new dart. The finishing, the timing was unreal. And I think Johnny comes through this one, and I think fairly comfortably. Then we have Damon Heta taking on Waterboy Joe Comito. Remember, Joe Comito played brilliantly at the World Championships. Been an interesting one, this one. Damo, we've seen glimpses that his form is beginning to turn. I wouldn't say completely yet because it's still not at the level that he was at consistently, but we're seeing it get there and get better and better. Now, fingers crossed that in the back end of the year, Damo can find that consistency, because that's what his game was always about. That you knew you'd have to play well to beat Damo because he was just at that super consistent level. That level has just dropped slightly, especially on TV. So he needs to find that again. But I think he comes through this one. So, yeah, I'm only going for one winner from the Oceanic region. And again, Raymond Smith, for me, is the standout in that category. For me, I think he wins the AZ Premier League. I really do. I just think he's that good. I really do. Raymond Smith not qualified for Ali Pali yet. Look, do I think he will? Yes. I don't think he's there yet. He does have Lakeside as the backup. I'm expecting, hoping the PDC players will be... You'd like to think so, Jimmy. Agreed. Look, I was disappointed, and I said this on the live lounge. I was disappointed with the overall standard in New Zealand last week. The Friday was tough. It wasn't a great session on the Friday at all. Look, we were comparing numbers on the live lounge and so on, and they need to be better. I hope they're better, but I'm not sure. I'm genuinely not sure what we're going to see. I think Raymond wins the AZ Premier League, Jimmy. Yeah. Let's have a look at the. Let me get the ADA rankings up. But yeah, I expect better. ADA, where we go, rankings. So yeah, at the moment, Brody Clinge is about $1.5 grand above Raymond Smith. I'm not sure how many events there are left on that tour. But yeah, it is Clinge and Smith that do have a bit of a gap at the top of that table. So yeah, I think Raymond Smith will be at the Worlds this year, and I hope so. I really, really do. It is just 8 yes. Now, interestingly, what are you guys expecting? Are you expecting better this week? Or are you expecting more of the same, similar to what we saw last week? Because, like we say, they've had more time to adjust and so on. Are we expecting better or not? How we doing? Joe, good to have you in. I am in Cardiff, mate. Are you there? I will be. I think the AZ Premier League. Well, I haven't seen any changes. If it's the same as last year, it's the same format. Yeah, quarterfinal, semi-final, and final every night. Price is 7-2 favourite. Yeah, look, I can see why they've got him as favourite. I'm expecting a closer. Yeah, I hope so. Like I say, I didn't last Friday. I really didn't enjoy it. It just something didn't feel right. Do you know what I mean? Just watching it, it just felt like, oh, we've got to play darts. But we've spoken about this. How do we get the glamour back in the World Series? How do we make the World Series relevant again? Because it used to be very relevant on the calendar. How does that change? What needs to happen to make the World Series desirable again? Is it as simple as money? Or is it something else? What do we all think? Or do we think that it won't be again? Tough because you can't have ranking points. So yeah, 100%. I'm not sure they do. Well, no, tell a lie. They probably do, yes. But the PDC aren't going to go to that price because remember, the event has to make money. If the event doesn't make money, then the PDC aren't going to do it. So it's already very expensive to get those players across as it is. I'm not sure the margin is particularly big at the moment. Add more events. The only way, if you add more events to the World Series, you are then going to, you then have a decision to make, because you then have to guarantee the players that you are sending something, because they're going to miss more and more darts. That goes back to the argument of the top 16 being in everything as seeds and so on. So that's the tough one. That's the tough one there. Agree with the feeling on New Zealand stuff. Is there a way of making an extended version of the European Tour host qualifiers? Yeah, I don't dislike that, Joe. That could work. Yeah, I don't dislike that idea. To tell you the truth, Phil, I think having one of the Lukes there has not make it money it needs. Yeah, I saw when it. I'm not sure what ticket sales are like in Wollongong. I'm not sure what the ticket sales have been like, but it looked fairly empty in Auckland. And then when you listen to some of the locals that didn't go because of the cost, it was quite expensive. Now, I don't know how that relates and the conversion to the UK prices, but it was expensive by all accounts. So is price an issue? I don't know. These are just things that we're seeing crop up from people that didn't go, that have been in the past and didn't because of the cost this year. There needs to be one in the Far East. Look, there's lots of places the World Series needs to go, but as Barry and Matt have explained, to have a World Series event, things need to happen, i.e. TV deal, sponsorship, arenas, and so on. Look, I would love to go, yeah, World Series here, and here. Now, for us as fans, that makes perfect sense. But the numbers and the commercial elements have to add up as well. Like the cost of these World Series events is astronomical. Like when you factor in prize money, appearance fees, travel, staffing costs, and everything, it's massive. I think the World Series only really appeals to the locals. Yeah, I don't disagree, Rob. I don't disagree, but the problem is to appeal to the locals, you have to send the big stars, and then that comes back to the argument that we have over here. If you're sending the big stars to do all these promotions and global tours and so on, they need rewarding elsewhere. And I know people don't like that, but you can't have it both ways. If you want the big players to do these things, then you can't have the hump when they're not playing elsewhere, so they have to be rewarded. I genuinely think moving the Australian events to a different time of year could possibly help in terms of wanting the players to go. Now, I don't know how that works for venues and TV companies down there. So it's That's the other problem is that they're going it's effectively 4 sessions of darts. So your top stars are away for effectively 2.5 weeks for 4 days of darts. Now look, they've got appearances, meet and greets, and so on elsewhere, but in terms of playing, it's 20 days for 4. Look, it's a dynamic and a conundrum that I don't know how you solve it. Chat room, there's some really good bits in here. I love it. In the Aussie conversation rate, the pound is almost 2.5 to an. Right, okay. So I saw a lot. When I don't know. I don't know if this was for a weekend pass or one. I hope it was for the weekend, but a lot of people were saying that it was like 300 New Zealand dollars for a table. I don't know. Again, they didn't say what kind of table and whatever, but that was what was being touted around. Yeah, I agree, Joe. I think perhaps we do look down in the World Series a little bit. Um, no idea how you do it. Um, I thought it was the top 8 players in the World Series. The top 4 are always are guaranteed a spot if they take it. But look, when you look, three of the top 4 declined to go to Australia this year. Um, should there be a World Series event in the UK? Absolutely not. No, same as there shouldn't be one in Copenhagen either. Um, I don't know, Rob. Controversially, I'm up for ranking everything. It it solves an issue. Oh, it's ranked. It's not ranked. Rank everything. Come on, Whitlock. Look, he still has a good game in him. We need to. Yeah, look, I think I'd like to see perhaps Australia and New Zealand trialled in January instead. I think I think that might work a little bit better. But it's interesting to see. And then perhaps have the Middle East part of the World Series in the summer where it's not as far to travel and so on, and it's easier and so on. Uh, bring back the yeah. Look, I think Copenhagen, not specifically, but instead of the World Series in Copenhagen, you have um, a European tour in that region instead for me. Um, it's not just the cost. Going price to win the lot. How are we doing, Salesman? Good to have you in, buddy. I have my memory of World Series gaffer. Look cool. I, I agree, Rob. Look, it's not ideal, but look, the World Series is part of the darting calendar, and it's not going to go anywhere. So there has to be a way of making it fashionable and wanting to play in it. Look, for those that haven't yet, the interview with Barry Hearn is very, very good, and by the sounds of it, there is going to be a change in tactic and a change in selection criteria for next year. Let me drop the. For those that haven't, there is a link to the Barry Hearn interview where he talks about the World Series and changing the selection criteria. How funny would it be to have Alexis Toilo in the World Series finals? Has he qualified or not? Wait a minute. If you rank it, do you stop paying appearance money? Oh, good question, Rob. I don't know is the honest answer. Right, let's currently. Right, Alexis Toilo is currently at. So the qualified players so far for the World Series finals are as follows: Michael Van Gerwen, Luke Littler, Luke Humphreys, Gerwin Price, Cam Van Vane, Johnny Clayton, James Wade, Stephen Bunting, Nathan Aspinall, Raymond Smith, Josh Rock, Danny Noppert, Adam Leake, Manlot Lung, Jim Long, Victor Tingstrom, Ross Smith, Mahoto Sakai, Lawrence Argan, Ben Robb, Simon Whitlock, Alexis Toilo, and Asamoto. Then the next four highest ranked are Gary Anderson, Ryan Searle, Wessel Nyman, and Chris Dobie. Now, I know at least one of those has turned down the invite. So I think Jermaine Watamina comes in. Then we've got the tour card holder qualifier. Also, yeah, obviously they've got to accept the invite, but at the moment, that's the provisional lineup for Amsterdam at the AFAS Arena. I think I think it's gone up to 32 players. 100K for the winner. I think Rock might lose, to be fair. Yeah, he could do. I am streaming tomorrow, but I can't do Saturday because I'd already committed to be at Red Dragon Champion of Champions. So I'm streaming tomorrow, but I can't do Saturday. Like they never disclose how much a player gets for the appearance of the World Series fee. It's Rob. It's all different. Like the players almost negotiate their own deal. I'm going to message you something. Um, so, no worries, Nick. I'll be on tomorrow for the stream. Yeah, so we'll be here live from 10. To say, apologies that I can't do Saturday, but I've committed to Red Dragon Champion of Champions every year. Trying to tip a winner for that is impossible because of the format is brutal, absolutely brutal. At 10 a.m. Is Barney not in? Nope, he hasn't qualified. So he will have to go to the tour card holder qualifier. How are we doing, Simon? Good to have you in. Great draw. Probably won't see Simon on Saturday. Good to have you in, buddy, though. Um, um, can't see where being wholesale changes. Intrigued to see the changes are. Yeah, look, I think a lot will depend on the Middle East. Again, Barry spoke about it. I think the only one that is potentially an issue at the moment is Bahrain. But when you look, there are still major sporting events going on in Saudi. We've still got WWE somewhere else in North America, and then in August I would then have the Middle East section and see how that works. No, Red Dragon Champion of Champions has been around a long time, Kev. The winner of Champion of Champions gets a spot in stage 2 of Q School and a spot in the prelim of the Masters. I would say, Rob, no, didn't. You went. Not sure what happened there. Whether it was a YouTube thing, but it didn't. It didn't twitch on my streaming software. That's where I normally see the issues. Didn't know about the Q score thing. Yeah. The winner of champs goes straight through to stage 2. No, it's not. It's just an event that Red Dragon do every year. Yeah, I think it was a YouTube hiccup, Rob, which again happens. But yeah. Look, Champion of Champions is a great event, being the best of 3 all the way through. It is brutal, but it's bloody good. Last 5 minutes or so of the stream, we've had a look at the draw bracket. Who do you think wins in Wollongong? Who takes home the title? That fingers crossed, Rob. That's the plan. Yes, the camera bag is being loaded. That's the plan. Price by a mile. Interesting. I'd like Wade. I think that it's not beyond the realms that we have the same final. It's not beyond the realms that we have an all Welsh final again. Both in different halves of the draw. Price to win it. He's the standout. And what do we think? Does Gerwyn Price win a big one in the back end of the year? It's been too long since Gerwyn Price lifted a big title. Does that end in 2026? Does it end? Do I think... No, me personally, no, I don't think it does, Rob. I don't think it needs seeding. But then if you are insisting on seeding the World Series, but then won't seed the Challenge Tour and Women's Series, it doesn't make any sense. Like if they were consistent all the way through their models with having seeding, then I get it. But Yeah, look, I hope so, Joe. Look, Gerwyn Price is a quality operator. Littler wins the majors. I still don't think. I don't think he makes it to Minehead. I really don't. I I I don't think he makes it to Minehead. And look, in the World Grand Prix and the European Championships early on, I'm not saying you will, but there is an opportunity and scope to get him in that short format. If you don't get him early, you're probably not going to get him. Is the Players' Champs a major? There's no such thing as a major in the PDC. They are all premium or premier. I want to get. So from the official PDC website, the following are premier events. Now, the premier events are the World Championship, the Masters, the Premier League, the UK Open, the World Cup of Darts, the World Match Play, the World Series of Darts Finals, don't shoot the messenger, the Grand Prix, the European Championships, the Grand Slam of Darts, and the Players' Championship Finals. On the official correspondence from the PDC, they are your premier events. Now I said, don't shoot the messenger. But thank you so much as always. If you haven't yet, make sure you drop us a like and subscribe, everyone. Remember, we will be live 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, bringing you all the action from Wollongong on our watch along. Thank you so much as always. But is there such a thing as the Triple Crown? Yes, there is. And I stand by that. The Triple Crown is a real thing. Let's send that fishing rod out. No, to be fair, Rob, I agree with you. I would have now the World Championship would be standalone on its own, Bosch. Then underneath it, I would have 4 majors, and then under that, I would have premier events. What does everyone think? Or is that's how I would do it? Or would you have the World Championship as part of the majors? Or for me, it's a standalone, or should be. But I'm interested to see what you think. So if you're asking me, I would have the World's standalone, then your 4 majors, or my 4 majors would be the World Match Play, the Premier League, the UK Open, and personally, the European Championships. They would be my 4 majors. And then underneath it, I would have the Players' Championship Finals, the Grand Slam, the Grand Prix, the World Series of Darts, the World Cup. I rate the European Championships highly. And perhaps you'll all understand a little bit as well when the calendar comes out. But thank you To be fair, I like the Masters as well, to be fair, Joe. But I just think I think those others. I think 3 of them are very easy to pick. It's just that 4th one. I think will rotate between a lot of people. But thank you all so much for your company as always. Could discuss this on an ad hoc live. We could do, couldn't we? Hashtag the live stream, hashtag what's a major. Leave it with me, Rob. Leave it with me. But you guys have all been absolutely superb as always. Thank you so much. I'm Phil Bars. We have been Online Darts. We'll see you all tomorrow, 10 a.m.